Hey, I'm Kai, also known as Mr. Orange, and today I want to talk about creating a virtual burner phone. So I know a lot of people are going to be talking about how to find information on people today, but I'd like to take this opportunity to talk a little bit about how you can hide some communication, from prying eyes, especially in a scenario where you're in an abusive relationship and somebody is actively weaponizing family plans to look at call and messaging history. And that can make it really dangerous for a lot of people to, try to reach out for help and support. And so I want to talk about a few interesting techniques you can use. Um, you don't have to follow this guide exactly, These are building blocks and you can apply them to any situation you see fit. I would just like to say, please use this for legal purposes. That's just a quick disclaimer. But now we got that out of the way, let's begin. So, what is a burner phone? I think we all kind of know, but it's most often used by criminals as a temporary uh, phone to maximize privacy. It's a phone we often don't have attachment to. It has very little personal data in it, and so we can easily get rid of it with no loss to ourselves and protect our communication. The problem with traditional physical burner phones is that they are increasingly more common to be registered with credit cards. I spent quite a bit of time looking for burner phones you can buy with cash, and it is shocking how that avenue has dried up. Um, and they are also getting more expensive. I think the cheapest burner phone that I could buy with cash and service uh, ended up totaling close to $80 after tax. And at first that might seem like a very small amount, but if we're talking about somebody who their finances are being controlled by somebody else, um, it can be really difficult to gather that much cash on your own. So I wanted to find a slightly different solution. It's also fairly suspicious to own multiple phones if you are in one of these situations. Discreetly using a second device uh, can be difficult, and if you're caught using multiple devices, that can be really dangerous. So, okay, virtual burner phones help with some of these problems, but they do have their own limitations. The techniques I've come up with, they don't work with Apple or iOS devices. There might be a solution out there. Personally, I don't use Apple devices, so I'm not that aware of all the options in the ecosystem, but it's worth looking out for. You'll find that uh, certain global settings will be disabled in the second account. And that's totally fine. I mean, all your normal calls, texts, stuff like that will go through. Um, but if you're looking for very specific apps that might affect uh, global settings like GPS and things like that, they won't run in the sandbox second account. Um, Also, the virtual burner phone is basically just going to be a VoIP phone, um, and so any service that does not allow you to register VoIP numbers will not work with this. And also because of that, it will require a data or Wi-Fi connection. But overall, these are fairly easy to work around. So why go virtual? Like I mentioned before, you can hide this in plain sight because it is a secondary phone on your uh, daily device. Um, any of your calls or messages won't be reflected on your carrier's billing history, which can be really important. And it's really easy to dispose of the any data. You don't even, it's much faster than a traditional burner phone as well. You don't have to go around destroying the phone and hiding the evidence. You can quickly just press a button and it's all gone. And it's really cheap to set this up. You're talking less than $27 for several months of service. So, okay, this sounds great. And there's a few steps to set this up. So let's just quickly go have a brief overview of what we're going to do. We're going to create a second user on an Android device. We're going to buy a Mint Mobile trial kit and a Google Play gift card. We're going to download some VoIP apps, and then we're going to just clean up behind any of the messages that might have gotten sent out and that could be seen, any major settings that need to be turned back to their original state. And then we're going to have our private communications set up through the VoIP. And then I'm going to show you how to delete and burn our virtual burner phone. So what are you going to need? You're going to need an unlocked Android phone. I think unlocked phones are getting more and more popular every year, and so you might find that your phone already works for this. I think the major carriers where you might have some issue would be Verizon. I think a lot of their phones that you buy through their contracts are locked into them, so it won't work for this. And then you'll need $12 to $27 in cash. $2 is for the Mint Mobile trial kit. And to buy Google Play gift cards, I find that it's pretty difficult to find the $10 gift card in stores these days, but you can always find the $25 one. So just budget appropriately for that. So how are we going to make multiple accounts? So Android is really cool. If you go into your settings and go under system, there is an option for multiple users. And it's pretty great. Each user has its own little sandbox environment. Their data does not spill into each other, so you can keep photos or apps private. You can also password protect them in different ways. So it's really great. And what's nice is that when you boot up the phone, it'll always go to the admin original user. So you never have to worry about like a list of users popping up like, oh, do you want to log in as user 1, 2, or 3? It'll always go to the first one as long as you don't enable select user and log in. Another great little trick is when you're making multiple users, go to the original user and change the username from admin to system or settings, something innocuous, and change the thumbnail to an icon. I like to pick an icon just off of that previous settings menu. And that way, when you're looking through the device and you're logged into your primary account, if somebody was looking over your shoulder or digging through your device, they might not notice that there are multiple users available to them. It's kind of a neat little trick, and I'll show you some more right over here. So how are you hopping between users? Really easy. I just had to censor that out because it dropped my location. But you can see there's our system, and then there's our hidden user. When you just log in, you can see it's a totally different account. When you first set up a user, you're going to actually have to set up either log into a Google or Gmail account, or you can create a new one right then and there, and that's what I recommend for this. And then so now we're going to open up that Mint Mobile trial kit, and we're going to, it's very easy. It comes with the tools already. You just pop open your SIM tray, swap out the SIMs, and plug it in. You're going to want to connect to Wi-Fi after this. Sometimes it just kind of works out of the box, but sometimes it doesn't. Yeah. So you're going to have to go, so once you set up your Gmail account, don't add a phone number to it yet. You can choose to do that later. Just do everything you need so you can go to the Play Store and download the Mint mobile app. From there, you can open up the app and activate SIM. These Mint Mobile apps are awesome because you don't need to enter your credit card after. It'll just ask for your email and your name. Of course, you can put a fake name as well, and then just use that email that you just set up to register an account with Mint Mobile. I don't even think you need a password when setting it up. It's very, very lenient. And that should just take a few seconds. On the packaging of the Mint Mobile trial kit, you'll see the activation code, and you just type that in. Sometimes it'll ask you to set up like the SMS network connection and go through your settings to do that. Usually, like I said earlier, it works out of the box. You don't have to worry about that. But if you need to, it walks you through the steps to fill out that information and get it set up, which I believe you'll probably have to do through the primary account. I don't think you can access the network settings through our secondary user here. So what is the point of this Mint Mobile trial kit if we're only using it to verify the VoIP account? I don't know if you've ever managed two SIMs in a phone. It's a little bit complex, and it can often send. We want to isolate our communication from our primary account, from our secondary account. So we do not want SMS messages or phone calls from spilling over. And so that's much easier to handle if we're just using a VoIP app. And it's also a lot easier than trying to carry around two SIMs as well. And it's very cheap to use VoIP. And it can sometimes be free if you can figure out Google Voice and Mint, which I've had some success with, and other times it doesn't work at all. Okay, so what you want to do now is add that Google Play gift card to your Google Play store balance. In this case, we're going to download the Burner app. It's just a quick VoIP app. It's kind of cool. You can generate extra numbers. The one downside is you cannot call 911 with it. Yeah, and so when you're setting up the account, it's going to ask you to verify with a phone number, and this is where the Mint Mobile trial kit's going to come in handy. You're going to take your number from Mint Mobile and plug it in there, and it should autofill that verification code. And then once you're there, you're going to pick out your number. And so I just picked out the Las Vegas area code 702, but you can choose to pick whatever you want. And then you're going to buy the monthly plan with your Google Play gift card balance. And it's going to be about $5 a month. And you get unlimited calls, texts through the app. And, you know, of course, it's not real service because it's going to need a Wi-Fi or data connection. But for covert communications, it's perfectly fine. So how are we going to clean up the trail we made? So the biggest thing is that when you plug in that Mint Mobile SIM card and activate it, you'll notice that you immediately get a voicemail and a couple text messages. The voicemail can be kind of finicky because it is not going to your original carrier. So it'll just be stored on the phone. And sometimes it won't open up in your visual voicemail app. But given a couple minutes, usually it goes through and you can just delete it along with any text messages. Android does not natively come with any way to restore text messages. From my understanding, you might be able to restore them on Samsung devices, but on Google Pixel devices, that definitely isn't an option. Now you want to switch back to your original SIM card as well, and just keep you can just keep the extra SIM on hand just in case if you need it. It will expire in 7 days, so its utility is limited, but it comes with data, text, and a couple minutes of calls. Another trick you can do is you can change the second user's wallpaper to match your primary account. That way, someone won't notice you using your secondary account if they're shoulder surfing. So just a quick trick. And then, when it comes to deleting that secondary user, it's very quick. So here we're in our primary account, and we can just swipe down to get that settings panel. And right there, we're just gonna delete user and turn off allow multiple users. You might be wondering, why don't you just click disable allow multiple users from the start instead of going through and deleting the individual user? That just, if you were to go that route, you could still, if you just enabled allow multiple users again, you could just log back into the secondary user account. It does not actually delete it, it just disables the ability to switch accounts. So the only true way to delete the account is to select the secondary user and then delete them specifically, and then disable allow multiple users. So just something to keep in mind. But as you saw, it was less than 30 seconds to go through this process. So you can do it very, very quickly. And that's it. I hope you learned some important techniques, and maybe these are techniques you can share with somebody who's in a more difficult situation. And you can mix and match. You don't have to use this as a burner phone. Maybe you just find having a secondary account kind of cool. I like to have one for my work account and then my personal account. Just a way to isolate data. But I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great OSINT CTF. Have fun.